Desert moonlight cast sharp shadows across the sandstone alcove where Jax and Mira had taken refuge. Their skimmer, partially concealed beneath a camouflage tarp, rested several meters away. It had been 3 hours since their narrow escape from Sanctuary Basin. Jax sat with his back against the cool stone, the events of the past day replaying in his mind. A strange heat had begun to build along his spine, not painful, but insistent, like pressure seeking release. "Are you all right?" Mira asked, noticing his distraction. "You've been quiet since we stopped. I feel something happening inside me, like energy trying to find a path." As he spoke, the heat intensified, spreading from his spine outward through his chest. The Silent Concord pendant against his skin grew warm in response, pulsing with a gentle light that illuminated the small alcove. "Jax, your pendant." Before she could finish, the light from the Silent Concord expanded, projecting a translucent image of Caeln Vieras. The ancient cultivator's appearance was ethereal but distinct, his long silver-white hair flowing as if caught in an unseen current. "The bone conduits have begun to open." Caeln's projection spoke, his voice resonating directly in Jax's mind while being audible to Mira. "Your spiral is seeking proper channels through which to flow." Mira stepped back, her hand instinctively reaching for a weapon. "What is this? Who are you?" "He's Caeln Vieras," Jax explained. "He was in stasis beneath Sanctuary Basin. He's helping me. A cultivator inside your pendant." Mira looked between them with disbelief. "Many things once thought impossible have become necessary," Caeln replied. "The Silent Concord contains a pocket dimension, a space where I can exist while guiding this young one." Jax winced as another pulse of heat ran along his spine. "What's happening to me?" "Your spiral is responding to our connection," Caeln explained. "The bone conduits channels that run along your spine and through major bones are attempting to open for the first time. They form the foundational pathways through which spiral energy flows." Caeln's projection moved closer, examining Jax with eyes that seemed to see beyond physical form. "Your spiral configuration is truly primordial in nature. It follows no established pattern, no predetermined pathways." "Is that good?" Jax asked through gritted teeth as the heat intensified. "It is extraordinary," Caeln replied, his voice carrying centuries of wisdom. "Most cultivators develop spiral patterns that align with existing templates, but a primordial spiral is rare beyond measure, unbound by such limitations, capable of adaptation and growth without constraint." The pendant pulsed again, and Caeln's projection became more defined. He studied Jax with solemn intensity. "I have never sought a disciple," he said with quiet gravity. "In all my centuries, I have never found one worthy of the knowledge I carry." Jax met his gaze, feeling the weight of the moment. "It was you who awakened me," Caeln continued. "Your primordial spiral resonated with mine in a way that should not have been possible." The heat along Jax's spine had stabilized, neither increasing nor fading. It waited as if poised at a threshold. "If you are willing," Caeln said, "I will become your master. I will teach you the Void Heart Ascension, the cultivation path. I walked alone for millennia, despite everything." Jax felt a moment of absolute clarity. This was why his parents had studied spiral patterns. This was why the Abyssals had sought him. "I accept," Jax said with reverence. "I would be honored to learn from you, Master. Clear your mind, disciple," Caeln instructed. "Visualization is crucial for the initial pathways." Jax closed his eyes, trying to focus, despite the persistent heat along his spine. Mira had retreated to the entrance of the alcove, watching for potential threats while observing them. "Imagine your spine as a column of light." Caeln's voice guided him. "See the energy gathered at its base, waiting to ascend." Jax concentrated. The heat began to take form in his mind's eye. No longer just sensation, but a visible energy. Blue-white, and pulsing with life. It pooled at the base of his spine like water behind a dam. The first step in Void Heart Ascension begins with the Bone Gate. Caeln continued, unlike conventional methods, we will create a direct channel, a primary conduit through which your primordial spiral can flow freely. In his mental landscape, Jax saw his spine transform into a transparent crystal column, intricate lattices forming within the vertebrae. The pooled energy below pushed against an invisible barrier, seeking entry. Now direct your will toward the first vertebra. See it opening, becoming permeable to the energy below. Jax focused his concentration, imagining the base of his spine, softening channels forming within the bone. For several moments, nothing happened, the energy below continuing to build pressure without release. Don't force it, disciple. Caeln advised, his tone gentle yet firm. Intention, not strength, is the key. The primordial spiral responds to recognition, not compulsion. Yes, Master. Jax responded, adjusting his approach. He relaxed his effort, shifting from pushing to inviting, acknowledging the energy as part of himself. The change was subtle, but immediate. The barrier thinned, and a thread of blue-white light rose into the first vertebra. In the physical world, a soft glow emanated from Jax's skin, tracing the line of his spine. The Silent Concord pendant pulsed in synchronization with each heartbeat. Yes, Caeln encouraged. The first connection forms guided upward, vertebra by vertebra, disciple. The process was painstaking. Each segment required the same careful invitation. Throughout it all, Caeln's presence remained steady, offering occasional guidance. This is remarkable, Mira whispered, watching the subtle manifestation of energy beneath Jax's skin. Most initiates require weeks to establish even minimal bone channels. My disciple has a primordial spiral, which accelerates the process, Caeln explained without breaking his focus on Jax. It remembers the original pathways that existed before standardized cultivation. As the energy reached the midpoint of Jax's spine, the blue-white light began to branch, sending tendrils outward through his ribs, creating a network that extended through his skeletal structure. The pattern self-organizes, Caeln observed with satisfaction. Your primordial spiral isn't just unformed, it's seeking optimal configurations beyond conventional models. The branching continued, following seemingly random paths that nonetheless formed a harmonious whole. Energy flowed into Jax's shoulder blades, down his arms and into his sternum, creating a lattice of light throughout his upper body. I can feel it, Master, Jax said, his voice tinged with wonder. It's like I've been seeing in 2 dimensions, and suddenly there's depth. The first glimpse of true perception, Monsieur Caeln confirmed. As your channels develop, your awareness of energy will expand exponentially. The process continued for almost an hour, until the last tributary of energy completed its path. The glow beneath his skin stabilized, maintaining a steady, subtle luminescence. The foundation is laid, Caeln announced. You have achieved the first level of cultivation, Boneborn Initiate. The primary conduits are established, allowing your spiral to circulate through your skeletal structure. Jax opened his eyes, looking down at his hands with new awareness. Though the visible glow had faded, he could still feel the energy flowing through the newly formed channels. Is this how all cultivators begin, Master? He asked. Similar in concept, but unique in execution, disciple, Caeln replied. Most follow established templates, their spirals gradually conforming to predetermined pathways. Yours has forged its own network, optimized for your unique configuration. This will grant you advantages as you progress, though it may make conventional methods less effective for you. The Silent Concord pendant pulsed with sudden urgency, interrupting their conversation. Caeln's projection shifted his attention. Turning outward, we are no longer alone, he warned. Your first circulation has created an energy signature that others can detect. Mira immediately moved to the alcove entrance, drawing a compact sidearm. "I don't see anything." "Not abyssals," Caeln clarified. "Human cultivators approaching from the east." Jax joined Mira at the entrance, peering out across the moonlit desert. In the distance, a dust trail marked the approach of several vehicles. "Could be a standard patrol," Mira suggested, though her expression betrayed doubt. "No," Jax said with certainty he couldn't explain. "It's Gale Arden. I can feel his presence somehow." Sure enough, as the vehicles drew closer, they could make out the distinctive profile of Commander Gale Arden, leading a small team of what appeared to be lower-level cultivators. Their transport stopped several hundred meters away, and Gale continued alone on foot, his approach measured and non-threatening. "He's tracking your spiral signature." Caeln observed his projection remaining within the alcove, invisible to those outside. The commander has exceptional sensitivity for someone self-taught. Jax stepped out to meet Gale, while Mira remained partially concealed, her weapon ready but not visible. "That was quite an exit you made," Gale said as he approached, his tone measured but not hostile. "I've spent the last few hours convincing Lieutenant Quan not to label you both as dangerous fugitives." "We didn't have much choice," Jax replied. "The facility was compromised." Gale nodded his gaze, dropping briefly to the Silent Concord. "Something's changed about you. Your energy signature has stabilized." Before Jax could respond, Gale made a subtle gesture with his hand, sending a pulse of spiral energy toward him. Not an attack, but a test. Without conscious thought, Jax's newly formed channels responded, his skeletal structure resonating with the incoming energy and deflecting it harmlessly. Gale's eyes widened slightly. "Boneborn level. That's impossible. You were completely untrained this morning." "It's a long story," Jax said, uncertain how much to reveal. Gale studied him, then looked toward the alcove. "You can come out, Ms. Chen. If I'd brought a capture team, they'd already be surrounding you." Mira emerged cautiously, her weapon lowered, but still in hand. "Commander, mind telling me how a civilian with no prior cultivation suddenly achieves Boneborn Initiate level in a matter of hours?" Gale asked. "That kind of progression violates everything we know about spiral development." Jax touched the Silent Concord feeling. Caeln's presence responded with a wordless question. "A partial truth, my disciple came." Caeln's response in his mind. "He can be trusted with some knowledge, but not all. Not yet." "I found something beneath the facility," Jax began carefully. "An ancient chamber with cultivation resources. It accelerated the process." Gale's expression made it clear he knew Jax was holding back, but he didn't press. "Whatever you found, it's changed you fundamentally," he said instead. "Your spiral signature is unlike anything in our database that makes you a person of interest. To a lot of people, not all of them friends, like the choir-class Abyssals that tried to capture me, among others." Gale looked back toward his waiting team. "I'm offering you protection and training. Whatever you discovered, whatever changed you, you'll need practical combat experience to survive what's coming." "Why would you help me?" Jax asked. "Because 3 years ago, I was in your position, suddenly developing abilities. I didn't understand, with enemies hunting me for reasons I couldn't comprehend. The difference is you have potential I can only dream of." "I won't ask you to return to Sanctuary Basin," Gale continued, "but I am asking you to accept my guidance for the practical aspects of cultivation. Theory is important, but surviving real combat requires experience." "Accept his offer," my disciple Caeln whispered in Jax's mind. "It complements what I can provide." "I accept." Jax nodded. "But I need to continue my own training as well." "Of course." Gale agreed. "Everyone's cultivation path is unique. I'm offering combat training and protection, not trying to dictate your development." Dawn painted the desert horizon as Jax completed his first guided circulation under Caeln's instruction. In the hours since Gale's arrival, they had established a temporary camp with the Crimson Guard maintaining a vigilant perimeter. Jax sat cross-legged on a flat stone, his eyes closed, following the flow of energy through his newly established bone conduits. Each circulation strengthened the channels, making them more efficient, more responsive to his will. The foundation must be perfect, disciple. Caeln had explained, a flawed base cannot support higher levels of cultivation. Yes, master, Jax had replied, focusing his attention with renewed determination. Now, as Jax completed the final circuit, he felt a profound shift in his awareness, as if a door that had been ajar now stood fully open. Well done, my disciple. Caeln's voice resonated in his mind. The bone conduits are fully established. Your body now recognizes spiral energy as part of itself, not an external force to be contained. Thank you, Master, Jax whispered, honoring the milestone they had achieved together. Nearby, Gale was engaged in his own morning routine, a sequence of precisely controlled movements that demonstrated his mastery of spiral-enhanced combat techniques. Each stance flowed into the next with liquid grace, his body occasionally blurring with speed beyond normal human capability. Sensing Jax's attention, Gale completed his sequence and approached. How goes the meditation? Well, Jax replied, standing up. I've stabilized the initial channels. For the next several hours, Gale systematically trained Jax in the fundamental combat applications of Boneborn cultivation, enhanced striking power, improved resilience, and the beginnings of spiral-accelerated movement. Unlike traditional martial arts, cultivator combat leveraged the expanded capabilities that spiral energy provided. By midday, Jax had progressed to sparring with one of Gale's Crimson Guard members, a young woman named Talia, who had achieved Boneborn solid level. Her greater experience countered Jax's raw potential, making the matches competitive, despite his rapidly developing abilities. Your instincts are good, Gale observed after Jax successfully countered one of Talia's complex attacks. Most new cultivators struggle to adapt their fighting style to their enhanced capabilities. You're integrating them naturally. As they paused for a brief rest, Mira approached from the command tent, where she'd been analyzing data with the team's tactical officer. Commander. She called, her expression concerned. We're picking up unusual energy signatures to the west. They don't match abyssal patterns or any known human cultivator configuration. Gale immediately tensed, his casual demeanor replaced by battlefield awareness. He extended his senses, reaching out with perception, enhanced by years of cultivation. After a moment, his expression darkened. There's definitely something approaching, multiple signatures moving with purpose. The Silent Concord grew warm against Jax's chest. Caeln's presence becoming more active. I sense them as well. My disciple Caeln's voice warned human cultivators, but their spiral patterns have been corrupted. What is it, Master? Jax asked quietly, instinctively, touching the pendant. Humans who have modified their spiral through unnatural means. Caeln explained. The process grants rapid advancement, but distorts the energy pathways, creating instability and eventual degradation. Gale, misinterpreting Jax's question as directed at him, replied, Not just Abyssals hunting you now, there are others who've detected your unique spiral signature. He looked west toward the shimmer of heat haze that concealed whatever approached. His voice lowered, taking on a grim quality that Jax hadn't heard before. Not all threats come from beyond our world. Some of the most dangerous enemies were once our own. Gale turned back to Jax, his expression deadly serious. There are those among humanity who have turned against their own kind, cultivators, who've modified their spiral through forbidden techniques, gaining power at the cost of stability and sanity. As if to punctuate his words, a ripple of distorted energy washed across the desert toward them, a pressure wave that made the air itself seem to vibrate with wrongness. The Crimson Guard immediately moved into defensive positions, their spiral energy flaring in preparation for combat. The Silent Concord pulsed against Jax's chest, resonating with the approaching threat. "This will be your first true test, my disciple," Caeln's voice announced in his mind. "Theory becomes practice. Potential meets reality. I understand." Master Jax whispered, his resolve strengthening. Gale stood at Jax's side, Stormpiercer materializing in his hand, the ancient weapon, humming with gathered power. "Not just Abyssals hunting you now," he repeated, his gaze fixed on the western horizon, where distortions in the air marked the approach of something unnatural. "Some among our own kind have sensed your awakening, and they no longer stand with humanity."